the Rose Hill High School Art Department sweeps the Scholastic Art Awards. We get an inside look at how successful the program was this year.
And later, senior release, is it good or bad for the high school? We talk to students and teachers about this controversial subject.
These stories and much more on Channel 7 News.
I'm Sarah Bailey.
And I'm Dakota Morgan. Every year, Ward Hilgers, the art teacher at Rose Hill High School, has an exceptional amount of students win Scholastic Awards. But this year, topped them all. Sarah has more on the school's highly successful art program.
In the previous month, students in the Rose Hill Art Department received a collective 53 Scholastics Awards for their art, setting a department record for the high school. In particular, students Jenna Anderson and Brianna Herrera won the prestigious American Visions Award.
I spoke with Jenna about her winning piece.
It's of two people. They were underwater, and I photoshopped them into the sky so it looks like they're falling. I didn't even think it was going to get in. This is my first thing I've ever entered, so I was glad that they liked it.
I later talked to a Gold Key winner, Sarah Lazar, about her work. A Gold Key is considered first place in the art competition she was entered in. She received 2 of these keys and a front row seat to view her work at an art show, which it was displayed. Ward Hilgers, the art instructor here at Rose Hill High, told us the requirements and his advice to those who are interested in art.
Oh, if it was a drawing or printmaking, it had to be framed or matted. It just had to be high quality work. It's getting ready for them that is the big thing. Like, it's a reason to work harder. You know? If you had a sport, but you had no competitions, I don't think the team would practice as hard.
Yeah.
So we have a competition, so we have a reason to practice hard. Take intro to art and work hard. If you don't want to work hard, you're in the wrong place.
Sarah Bailey, Channel 7 News. The time has come for this year's round of forensics competitions, and the drama department has already made a splash this season.
That's right. Recently, forensics traveled to Neodesha, Kansas to perform a one-act adaptation of A Long Day's Journey into Night by Eugene O'Neill, for which they received a 1 rating. Vlad Bondarchuk has the story.
Recently, the forensics team qualified for state. We talked to Cole Stafford and Lucy Lansford on their thoughts on forensics team qualified for state. Stafford told us that they got qualified for state because they received a 1 on their 1 act.
Forensics is competitive acting, and there are like 2 different, I guess, branches you could say that we do. We have the 1 act, which this year is Long Day's Journey into Night, and it has me, Riley Isbell, Lucy Lunsford, and Sadie Garcia in it. And we just went and performed that last Friday, and we got a 1, and we're going to perform that at state later this year. This year, like I said, our 1 act is Long Day's Journey into Night. And for forensics specifically, my events are IDA and duet with Riley, because those are both 2-person events, and then impromptu, which is just improvised speaking. I remember my first 2 years, I was really skeptical of forensics in the 1 act, but then one day I decided to do it, and it's been really fun, and anyone else that does it will probably tell you the same thing. So I just think it's a good way to spend your time, it's a good way to get involved, and it's a good way to learn some stuff.
Lansford told us that they have a tournament Saturday, February 12th in Burton, Kansas. Lansford told us about the benefits you can get from forensics.
I feel like forensics is a really good program for people who are going into any area in life where they need to have some public speaking skills, because it's basically you're being pitted against another person, another drama person, who's either going to give a really good speech or is going to act very well. So it just increases, hey, you can use this method sometimes and you can use this method sometimes. I really like forensics because of the environment that it has. I'm pretty competitive. Most people will join forensics because they think that it's the science, like I did, but actually it's not. It's just competitive speaking and acting, and it's quite fun. Yeah, you're definitely having a better chance of getting a scholarship. You'll just be comfortable talking in front of people. You're also going to have strengths in public speaking, like being on your toes and thinking quickly and being able to word things perfectly, I guess.
Vlad Bondarchuk, Channel 7 News.
February 1st marked the end of a moderately successful season for the Scholars Bowl team. AJ Taylor reviews the highs and lows of the season.
Earlier this week, Scholars Bowl head coach Ashley Keller and senior Riley Isabel shared their thoughts on how this year went and how people can get involved.
It's an academic bowl question. It's not really like Jeopardy, but so there's teams of 5 and everyone's set up and they have buzzers and they compete to see which team knows the most information based on stuff you'd learn in high school. This season's wrapping up, but next year I'll have an informational meeting really early on. It's a sport or event that goes from fall to winter, but people in fall sports are still welcome to participate. They've done really well. I'm proud of the group we have. We took second at the Wellington Invitational early on, and we just placed third in our league. We've got regionals coming up next Thursday, February 1st, and the top 3 teams will get to advance to state, so we're really excited about our chances there.
Riley Isabel told us he joined Scholars Bowl when he was in middle school because of Miss Lasher. He also did because his friend Gage Wright was doing it, and Isabel thought it would be cool to join too.
Well, I started in middle school when I was with Miss Lasher. She convinced me to do Scholars Bowl, and my friend Gage Wright did it, so I was like, okay, I'll do it as well. And so that's how I got started in Scholars Bowl. I did very well. Normally, my strong suit is mathematics, but I improved all my other categories this year, I feel, this season, so that's good. Overall, a general improvement. I think they have a lot of potential. I think with Miss Keller as our new coach, I think that we can get a good team going. Definitely have a lot of potential there. Just need to study and improve, you know.
AJ Taylor, Channel 7 News.
Coming up next, we take a look into the pros and cons of senior release, as well as why it won't be going away anytime soon.
And later, is there a new restaurant coming to Rose Hill? Dakota investigates the possibilities, as well as talks to members of the community about their thoughts.
One of the many perks students look forward to during their final year at Rose Hill High School is senior release, which could potentially allow them to take 2 or 3 classes a day. Let's head over to Aislinn Robert, who has more on the story. Aislinn?
Thanks, Dakota. At Rose Hill High School, there are some who think seniors take advantage of senior release in their schedules, but most students don't necessarily agree.
Since 2000, Rose Hill High School seniors have had the option of senior release if they had the appropriate number of credits going into their senior year. Casey Tarrant, a counselor at Rose Hill, explained why senior release has become more of a burden than a blessing. She explains how they use senior release for good and bad. There are some pros of senior release, like students would be able to get done with schoolwork early, take college classes, or go to work.
I feel like if a student is really working hard and they've, passed all of their classes up until their senior year, I feel like they deserve it. They deserve a break. They deserve to go out and further their education or get a job where they can work, more than a couple hours a week. I also have a feeling some students, though, can take advantage of that and just go to sleep or sleep in and not really do much with it. So it's an opportunity that I wish they would take advantage of.
However, there are some cons to senior release. It hurts the numbers of some elective classes, and it is hard for teachers to keep numbers up in their classes. Industrial tech teacher Ryan Hill agrees that it hurts their numbers.
I think just the negative aspects of it is that we lose student numbers. So whenever we want to, we enjoy what we teach. We want to expose as many kids to our topics as possible, and whenever our numbers drop, that lessens our opportunity for growth and exposure, and for kids to get those experiences that we hope they have before they either go to secondary schools or get career opportunities.
At this point, it does not seem likely that senior release will be going away anytime soon due to the overall popularity with the students. Student Zachary Spearman shows a more positive outlook on senior release. He uses his time to go home, do homework, and other activities.
I'll be able to go home and do homework. Sometimes I get to go home early, so I don't have to deal with the crazy traffic because the parking lot is scary.
Senior release would be more popular amongst the staff if they knew that the time was used more productively. Until then, it will be a touchy subject between the students and staff. Sarah and Dakota, back to you.
Thanks, Aislinn. The locally owned bar and grill known as Crossroads, which recently went out of business, has been the subject of many questions since it closed in late December. When the building closed, it posed the question, what will happen in its place? Well, according to local rumor, the owner of Crossroads may have renegotiated his rent on the building and may make a return. Local business owner Cheryl Otto represented the town in her enthusiasm for a new restaurant.
A restaurant would be good, just have someplace other, give us some choice in places to eat dinner.
What does the weather have in store for the weekend? Charlie takes a look at our upcoming forecast.
And later, Skylar Brown sits down with members of Rocket Productions to talk about significant additions to the Channel 7 lineup next year.
Hello, I'm Charlie Conroy, and here is your weather. We'll start off right with our national weather today. It's been dry and warm in the United States, but we'll jump right to Kansas. In Hays, we have a high of 29 and a low of 10. Precipitation chance today, 10%. Humidity, 66%, and the wind, 19 miles per hour. Now we'll jump down to Dodge City with a high of 37 and a low of 14. Precipitation chance, 0%. Humidity, 54, and wind, 20 miles per hour. So a little windy in Dodge City today. Now we'll go to Wichita, a high of 44 and a low of 20. Same as Dodge, a precipitation chance of 0%. Humidity, 72, and wind, 11 miles per hour. Now we'll go to our state capital, Topeka, with a high of 31 and a low of 16 degrees, precipitation 20, humidity 60%, and wind 15 miles per hour. That's all for our state weather for today. Now we'll go to our 5-day weather forecast. For the 5-day weather forecast, Monday we have a high of 45 and a low of 28, sunny. Tuesday, a high of 40, cloudy, and a low of 21. Wednesday, we have a high of 53 and a low of 30, cloudy, so we are warming up. Thursday, a high of 44 and a low of 27. And Friday, a high of 47 and a low of 23, sunny. Now to Skylar Brown and a sit down.
Welcome back. I'm here with Kobe Campbell, Micah Streeter, and Matt Browning, the advisor for Rocket Productions. So, Kobe, where did the idea for the initial show come from?
I feel like at the beginning it was just an idea that was kind of being thrown around, and the more and more we kind of talked about it and thought about it, I think it just became closer and closer to a reality, and then it just kind of finally came about, and that's pretty much how it happened.
Okay. Mr. Browning, where did the inspiration for the three of you to start actually putting this together?
Well, second hour is a class I teach with Mr. Hill, and he wanted to do something different with his classes, and same with me. And so at first it started with Kobe, and we were talking about, just a general sports show, and he had a couple buddies that have a text with that they thought, okay, that'd be a good idea to have a show about that. And then Micah, he's heavily involved in drama, and we talked about what it would be like to have an SNL type show. So now we have Kobe's show, which is going to be called Are You Serious? And Micah's show, which is going to be called Fake News, will be 2 brand new programs for Channel 7 next year.
Okay. So, Micah, what can we expect the format for both shows to look like?
Well, the format for the show I'm primarily going to be involved in is similar to Saturday Night Live, in that it's sort of a few very short, sort of pre-recorded skits, comedy skits, but each of them will have different characters, different stories and different themes and whatnot. And Kobe's show, I think it's going to be a lot more conversation-based.
Okay, we'll get back to that in a little bit. So, Kobe, going back to the type of show that you're wanting, just going off of the minor little details, what do you want to see?
I think what it's mainly going to be is, we have a topic that we're going to have, and then I might have my opinion, Connor might have his opinion, or Rylan might have his opinion. Or it could be me and Connor share an opinion, or Rylan and Connor have an opinion. So, I mean, as you're watching it, I feel like you can be able to relate to one or the other, and I think that's just going to be fun, because one day you might, say, oh, I agree with Kobe on this thing, I like this guy, and then the next day you might disagree completely with something I have to say. So I think that's going to be the most fun thing about it, watching our show.
Okay, so going off of that, who can we expect to be with you on the show?
It will be me, Connor Barron, and Rylan Hingst.
Okay. So, Mr. Browning, do you think this is going to be a step in the right direction for the growth of Channel 7?
No doubt about it, because already now with Channel 7 News, there's very few, if any, other schools in the state that can have their own cable channel to put news on. Now we're having 2 brand new television shows. And I don't know of any school that has television shows they put on live TV. Well, Michael's will be recorded, but Kobe's will be live TV. And this is a precedent we're setting here for Channel 7 News, or Channel 7 rather. And I think that when kids see that they can be on television, or they can produce a television show or direct it, I think we're going to get more and more kids involved with the program.
Okay, so Micah, going back to the skits and whatnot, what kind of, if any, what kind of script are we going to see?
As far as that, it's just sort of, it's very similar to SNL as well, but also while being our own, it's a uniquely Rose Hill kind of show. I want to make sort of comedy things that have to do with the things that the community would find funny and relatable, while still being just generally funny to anyone who wants to see it online or something. That just sort of, just sort of general, but also kind of specific in the comedy as well, as far as the community and whatnot.
Okay, so going off the same question as Kobe, who can we expect to see on your show with you?
Well, right now we're in the process of what we've come to call recruiting. For it, we'd like to have a lot more people. Right now, I think the definite person who I've been working with in preparation is Dakota Morgan, who has already proved himself as a very great on-air presence in Channel 7 News. But something that he doesn't really get to show on the news show is his great comedic talent. He has a very great sense of comedy and humor to him. There's also several individuals that we would like to have on, but the schedules, it might not work, but we're going to try and get a very diverse group, going to try and get a lot of hopefully as many girls as there are boys, sort of have different points of humor coming from all places, so that it's not just humor coming from one area.
So it's not one-sided. Mm-hmm. So going back to you, Mr. Browning, do you think that these 2 new shows coming to Channel 7, do you think that's going to be able to expand what we can do and expand our opportunities here?
That's the hope. Because you have different kinds of kids. You have kids like Dakota Morgan, for example, who love to be on air. He thrives on it. And you have other kids that like to be behind the scenes. So I'm opening up opportunities for both kinds of kids there. So I think this is just scratching the surface of what we can do. I hope it does. I hope maybe in 2, 3, 4 years now we have 4 shows instead of 2. This is a building block for years to come, not just what we're going to do in 2018, 2019. And I think when kids get a chance to see that they are on TV, they're on live television, that's going to really spark an interest in our school.
Okay, so this is kind of a question directed for both you and Micah, Kobe. What are your guys' thoughts and your guys' feelings about being able to come on to Channel 7 and really just be able to explore what you want to do and have your own show?
I think it's going to be really fun. It's always been a thought in the back of my mind, like I wonder what it would be like to have my own show, but it's actually happening. I think that's really cool. I think that it's going to be a good experience for me, Connor, and Rylan. I think it's going to be a fun experience for the people watching. I think younger people can relate, older people can relate, and I just think it'll be a fun all around to watch. I mean, people can just I think it'll be comedy, it'll be seriousness and all, we'll have games. It'll be just a fun time all around.
Yeah, and you know, it's like just expanding on that. When we first looked into Channel 7, it was just static, 24/7, nothing on that channel. You know, so we had 24 hours a day of possibilities. So we started, you know, running just raw footage of football games and basketball games and whatnot, and choir events and stuff. And but then the other thing we had was Channel 7 News, but that's still not, you know, for as much opportunity is there. There's so much else that we can do. So really, when we had these ideas of that were, you know, years ago, they would have been just sort of a pie in the sky, you know, like, oh, wouldn't it be cool if that happened? But really, you know, not really thinking about it in a realistic way. Now, with the capabilities of us using Channel 7, we can program it in that way so that both of our shows can get out and reach the city of Rose Hill, and on the internet, even more people.
Okay. So, thank you, Mr. Browning, advisor of Channel 7, Micah Streeter, the director here at Channel 7, and Kobe Campbell, our new addition to Channel 7. After the break, I'll be back with more of your winter sports highlights. And I'm Skylar Brown. Thank you for watching. The Rocket wrestling team has gradually improved over the course of the season. The season held steady, placing second, with the team placing second at the Eureka Invitational, 6th at the Andover Invitational, and 7th at our own Rose Hill Invitational last Friday. Up next is regional play on February 16th and 17th, and then state on February 23rd and 24th. The Rocket basketball team now has an overall record of 8-6 after losing to Andover Central, El Dorado, and Winfield in their last 3 games. Up for the Rockets next is the homecoming game tonight against Mulvane. On the girls' side of things, the Rockets have the same record at 8-6, and since starting the season 0-3, they have won 9 out of their last 12 games. They defeated El Dorado and placed 7th at the Haven Invitational. The Lady Rockets also won against the Winfield Vikings 51-46. For the last boys swimming meet, a 200-yard medley relay team with Hayden Kalp, Braden Bishler, and Zach Wong, and Adam Herndon placed 5th. Hayden Kalp also placed 3rd in the 100-yard backstroke. Braden Bishler also placed 2nd in the 100-yard breaststroke. Regional is today and tomorrow, and the state meet is next weekend. Sarah and Dakota, back to you.
Thanks, Skylar. That is all the time we have for today. Be sure to check us out on Rocket Productions on all social media platforms. I'm Sarah Bailey.
And I'm Dakota Morgan. On behalf of everyone at Channel 7 News, thanks for watching.